motivate and empower any way possible. So you got to meet people where they're at in a message and a form that fits.
Bro, you know what? Yeah, I saw you doing the dance moves and the backflip. That was mad, you know. So talk to me about that. Yeah, it just seems like you're just multi-talented.
We just got to keep putting the work in all throughout. So yeah, that was my friend's wedding in Portugal.
Perfect. We've got the audio now. So you know what? Yeah, before that, go back, yeah, and drop that bar again.
Okay. Well, I'll give you that free stuff.
Yeah.
So this is Kieran, the boxing life coach, motivating people with a new approach. Understanding boxing really has the key to a better body and a mentality that wants to work hard and strive for success. Focus on your goals, no place for second best. In the squared circle, if you want to see a win, it will take a leap of faith and a lot of discipline.
Jeez. Banging. I love that. Absolutely love it. All right, so let's get back into this now, yeah? Because before, we weren't even recording. No, we were recording. We've always been recording, but there was no sound for everybody else to hear. So family tree, you kind of gonna get into some of what's going on the day-to-day life of myself on a business side of things. Because right now we've got Kieran in. I know this isn't our normal stuff, but hopefully you guys can come in and actually learn something. And I will be pushing out to a different group of audience, yeah? So it's going to be interesting to see when my business-minded folks meet my conscious-minded folks. It's going to be a nice mixture. We're going to see what each side can kind of bring to the table itself. So let's start off, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Welcome everyone to Titans TV, live from London, UK, all the way to the US of A and worldwide. I'm your host, Callum L, and this is Talk with the Titans. On today's show, we've got Kieran Ekeledo. Come on, baby. Listen, yeah, my Nigerian accent is coming on fine, okay? So, of course, you know, we've got him in the studio. You know, we've got it titled up already. You know that he's a boxer. You know that he's a life coach boxer. That's something just different right there. And, you know, his motto or his message is to inspire, motivate, and empower.
Absolutely.
Powerful. And he works with entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur, you know, this is my brother. There we go.
Love that. Perfect setup.
There we go. So talk to us, right? Talk to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to know a few things first. But first, before I even get onto that, because we could start talking about the BBC appearances that you've done, you know, the great, you know, boxers that you've worked with. We could talk about the Floyd Mayweather and so forth, right? But I'm self-centered, so I want to talk about us.
Yeah.
How did me and you actually meet? That's what I want to know.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Let's get straight into that. So how we met is it was at David Lloyd. Again, won't say which one, but it was at one of their prestigious locations. And I was just doing some work on my laptop and I see you walking past. I think you're walking in to get your session in, and I see the Titan, like the logo on your back. And I'm seeing Titans again, so I see power there. But then I see it saying podcast studio underneath. I'm like, whoa, okay then. Okay. So obviously you get your session in, you're coming back down, I'm on my laptop finishing, still doing my work. But as you come back around, like, my motto is also, don't wait for opportunities, create. So when I see you walk back past, I'm like, hey, brother, hey, what's your name? I've not met you before. And just gave an introduction. You know, you sat down, were very warm and welcoming. We chopped up for a bit there. And then from there, obviously, I've come down to the studio. We've had some chats, some meetings, and here we are today.
There you go. Built a great relationship. And
Absolutely.
This is it. You know, sometimes you have to actually just take that step, jump out your comfort zone and do things that you wouldn't normally do. Because imagine, like right now, I'm sitting in front of you, you're sitting in front of me, we're sitting in front of you guys, the audience members, and you're going to get to learn some powerful stuff today. Hopefully, yeah, you guys come out of this inspired and motivated indeed. So I want to get into this now. Let me just see. Let's go into the first topic at hand. Yeah, boom. Let me read. See, I'm reading. I ain't got no shame in my game because I don't really know what I'm going to do after this. So anyways, yeah, my question to you is, what are the keys? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Sorry, apologize, yeah, for going off script real quickly. I want to know how you got involved in boxing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So my boxing journey began officially. The first time I stepped in a boxing ring, in a boxing gym was actually at school. So I always grew up in South London, so I was around fighting from young. My first martial art I took up was judo. And I remember my first exposure to boxing, I was probably like 8 or 9. And then like my uncle, he would take me to the pub, and not to drink, but then Mike Tyson was coming out. So Mike Tyson had a fight. I see he knocks this brother out in like a round. Everybody's cheering for him. I'm like, whoa, hold up. So this is the type of energy you get if you could fight like that. So I'm like, okay. And then like I was living with my mum, and we had a spare room. So we were renting out the room, and we were renting it to a professional boxer named Jason. So I remember watching one of his fights with him. He's seen it on the TV, and he's like, oh yeah. He's like, this is the toughest sport in the world. Probably like still young, under 10 years old. But from that age, in my mind, it planted a seed. It's like, they're telling me this is the toughest sport in the world. I got to give this a go. So then fast forward, a few years, I'm getting into sixth form now. At our school, there's one of the assistants who started doing like a boxing class. So then we'll just do it here and there. It was nothing really serious. Training, it was once every couple of weeks. I wouldn't call that where I was into boxing, but that was the first time I started to compete with my hands. So when I say that, it started off as backyard boxing. So it'd be just me and some friends. We'll just be like, hey, we'll go to the park afterwards. Let's do a couple rounds. Let's see who gets the better of whoever else. Again, it wasn't even with proper boxing gear. I'm saying if you couldn't get a mouth guard, what you do is you grab a sock, you roll it up, you put it in your mouth, or you get some tissue, you throw it in.
Yeah.
You wrap your hands up with socks if you ain't got gloves, and you go. So that was where it really started. But then that was, again, backyard boxing. That's not real boxing. That's just fighting, shall we say. When I really got into boxing was when I started at university. So I joined Swansea University, and they had a boxing club down there. And it was run by this guy called Avon Perryman, who's now the COO of England Boxing. And at the time, he was just starting up the club. It was a few years in. Saw there was a boxing club. I'm like, right, now I've got a space where I can put some work in. And literally the rest is history.
Jeez. So in terms of like fights, like proper professional fights, how many professional fights have you done?
So amateur.
Amateur.
So essentially, just to kind of give the context around boxing, how it works. Yeah. So you've got unlicensed boxing. So there you'll have like your white collar boxing. Sometimes some people call semi-pro boxing. So, but there's not so much sanction involved. So like my first bout, it wasn't an official bout, but this was with somebody who was 10 kg heavier than me. You couldn't officially do that in a sanctioned amateur bout or in a professional ring, but you can get away with that in an unlicensed or white collar just because people just want to see action. So there I had an amateur bout there. Then when we had a white collar bout there, I then moved on to the amateur space, and where I was a carded fighter. And between boxing and kickboxing, I had 10 bouts.
Jeez, 10 bouts, yeah?
10 bouts, yeah.
I'm just thinking, wait, first of all, how long are each fight basically?
Some longer than others. So the maximum that I was set up were for 3 2-minute rounds because it was like novice level. The quickest was done in a round. So we got stoppages in that list too, yeah.
So you saying you knocking men out or something?
Again, the way I used to call it is, in boxing, I see as it's a test. And if you haven't done your homework, you're going to be found out in a quick way. Yeah. So when I'm stopping that person, I'm putting a beating, but at the same time, I'm teaching them a lesson. So that gives them a chance to learn and develop their skills. The same way, like, fortunately, touch wood, I've never been stopped, but I can tell you I've taken some hits, and those taught me lessons. It taught me to keep my guard up, to keep my head moving, get my feet on the go. So, but yeah, absolutely. In the ring, we've stopped people, and we've gone the full distance as well.
Jeez, I remember going to one of my friends. He had a boxing match. I think it was like these novice level as well. I think there was like 3 rounds, roughly 2 to 3 minutes as well. But unfortunately for him, I think that side of the glove got punched, and his eyelid went back, or something happened to his eye. But he was thumping up, but that one punch there just changed the whole game around for him, and he couldn't continue the actual fight. So it's, to me, it's a scary thing to actually get hit in your face and willingly putting yourself in that position as well.
I can see how one says that, but in my viewpoint, life is scarier.
Yeah.
So I would say there's less danger taking place when I myself have trained to step in the ring against somebody else who's trained to step in the ring, and we just want to see who can get the better of each other in the time frame we've been set. Yeah. In life, the rules and the game is not as simple as that. I could just give somebody a look and then all of a sudden they want to hit me in the back of the head. So in my mind, training for boxing helps prepare you better for life because it gets you used to expect the unexpected. As you said, your friend was doing so well. All it took is one eye poke and then that's the game over. The same way one could be doing so well in their career or in life, one wrong turn, you're on a complete change.
I love that. I love the way that you actually take boxing, use it as a philosophy for life. Where does that come from?
It comes from, I'd probably say a big part of that is based on some painful experiences. So when I was 13, my mum, she had an aneurysm. And so that's essentially a bleed in the brain, a stroke. The doctors only gave her 2 hours to live. So yeah, it was tough. She was in a coma for 14 months. Fortunately, she's still alive to tell the tale, 20 years to this day. Not to this day, but to this year. But it left her paralyzed on her left side. So from that moment, being a 13-year-old child, just coming of age and seeing someone who you love and care for so dearly, she was fit, she was a trainer herself, teacher. So, on the outside, you wouldn't really see anything wrong. But like that, things changed. So when I look at boxing, I almost try to take the lessons from that because it's one of the toughest experiences I've gone through. I look and then say, okay, we've been through some tougher things emotionally outside. So how can I take the pain I have to go through in the ring to prepare me for the pain that life is going to throw my way one way or another in different shapes and forms?
Yeah, jeez. So such wisdom. I don't know. Do you mentor? Because that's a lot of wisdom right there.
We do, yeah, I do. Yeah? So that's why I call myself the boxing life coach. So what we do is working with entrepreneurs, helping them level up first in their boxing. So the motto is train like a fighter, think like a champion, and that essentially is then to help them level up like a boss.
Stop, rewind, repeat that again. Rewind. Let's go.
So we train like a fighter.
Train like a fighter.
Think like a champion.
Think like a champion.
That's it. And then once you do those two, that helps you to level up like a boss.
Jeez. Bars. Bars right there. I love that. So, in terms of coaching, where is that taking you?
So coaching, it's fortunately enough to across the UK, also to other parts of the world. So I started coaching in 2013, so just over 10 years ago now. That was at Swansea University Amateur Boxing Club. I was an amateur boxing coach and the treasurer for the club at the time. So as well as the coaching side, I've always had my hands in the business side too. At uni, I was studying international business economics. So I'm Nigerian, Igbo at that. So you know what I mean? We like
man.
business. Hey, what can I say?
You love ego.
So that's it. So with the coaching, it really started at university. I was one whereby I didn't just want to box. I wanted to help my friends as well, to be able to guide them and support them on their boxing journeys. And then since then, obviously graduated, I then have spent a few years in the fitness education space, helping trainers become trainers. So personally, I've sort of worked with over 1,000 people who've started themselves in the fitness industry, not necessarily as a coach, but more as an advisor. So to help them turn their goals and vision into a reality. And then in terms of the coaching, again, I still now sort of mentor and work with entrepreneurs. Tends to be SMEs, anywhere between that $250,000 to like 50 million a year, and helping them to take care of their most important asset, which is themselves, so that they can bring more value to their business and company over time.
Okay, so let's say your clients, what are like the major pain points, things that they're struggling in their life, that when they come to you, they're like, yo, Kieran, I need help?
I would say, what they would say, many would come to me because they want to improve their fitness or their aesthetics. So when I say that, is in they want to have more of an engine. or they want to be able to defend themselves because they realize that it's an important trait to be able to have some self-defense and basics. But then also they want to get themselves back in shape. You know, it's all great having millions in the bank, but when it's time, when that t-shirt has to come off, you're there in the corner just kind of hiding, feeling. So I'm helping them to bring that confidence back and to get them into better physical shape. That's what they come to me for. Those would be the pain points they would say.
What are they leaving with?
What they're leaving with, or what the pain point I would really say what I help people with is essentially priority management. Because we all know it's important to take care of your well-being and health, but often we've just neglected it for longer than we should have. Yeah. So when you come to me, it's not because you don't know that you could be walking more and eating more healthily, but what I do is I give them a space to enable them to start to prioritize their well-being again. And I forgot who said it, but there's a message where it's like, either make time for your wellness now or be forced to make time for your illness later. And that's oftentimes they're coming to me before they've got to that illness bit, and they're like, hey, do you know, I need to start sorting out my wellness. So they come to me for me to help them start to prioritize their well-being in a way where I'm not going to sugarcoat it for them. Like when many people say they'll talk about their reasons why they can't because this, that, the other, and then I'll give someone who's working, who's got a business twice as big as them, who's got twice as many commitments and still managed to find time to put it in. So then it helps them to reframe their mindset so that they can be aligned towards what their goals and what they want to achieve.
Sick. I love that. I absolutely love that. So in terms of, I want to know, what do I want to know? What would be the 3 major things you actually help them with, though? Like practical. Simply put, the technical boxing side of things. So in terms of the training, so we take them through their programs. So I'll teach them everything from the footwork, the punches, the defense, different elements, conditioning drills that they can do, making it fit towards what they have, making a training routine that fits for them, whether they're in a gym or on the go, because many entrepreneurs, they've got different array of lifestyle. So the technical side is their boxing abilities, teaching them the boxing training and that work. The second part is more around mindset work. So this, in terms of specifics, we're looking at affirmations, goal setting, and visualization. Those are like the main pillars I look at when looking at the mindset. So helping them to start setting goals. Many people have their business plan, they've got their targets for their business, but there's no actual practical goals that they've set for their own well-being to fit around their business and their family. So I help them with their goal setting, and we start to introduce affirmations for them. And then the third step is, obviously, once we've got those 2 pillars in place, the training, the mindset, we then take time to see, okay, how can we work around building your brand further, whether that's helping slightly with social media work, content creation. They may sponsor me to reach out to my audience so that way they can get more of a reach because they're good at what they're doing, but they're like, do you know what? We understand that it's important. You can never have too much. It's better to have too many leads than too little. Yeah. And more online presence than less online. But the 2 main pillars is the training, the mindset. Once we've got that down, we then start to look, and as the relationship is built and the trust is built, we can then look at ways in terms of how we can add value to their business in terms of from a branding perspective. All right. I love this. So you know what? Okay. I want to do something with you right now.
Just do it.
For my audience, especially for you guys, I want to do this. I want to do a before and after picture and a before and after of my business. This is what I want us to do. Listen to me now.
Okay.
I'm going away in 2 months' time.
Yep.
I don't know what my body fat percentage is right now. I want to have my 6/8 pack showing in 2 months. I want my business to take in an extra $2,000 a month. Can we achieve that in the next 2 months? Is it possible?
So you want your body fat dropped by?
Let's say I want to drop by 4%.
4%,
4%.
and then £2,000 extra revenue per month in your business.
Yes, in 2 months.
In 2 months.
In 2 months. That sounds
100%.
like £2. Sorry, not £2. 2% a month to be dropped in terms of body fat for the next 2 months, and £1,000 technically to be made each month to lead up to £2,000 per month.
Okay.
So
how do we get there? So with that, definitely possible. I would say your first goal is more ambitious than your second.
okay,
So as in the 4% will be harder than the £2,000 extra.
damn son,
It's definitely possible, but I like to put it up here now. The first thing I'll start is, why is that important to you?
I'm going on holiday. I'm trying to back off the top. I'm trying to look sexy.
So why do you want to look sexy?
I need people on Instagram to know that I'm sexy,
And why do you want people on Instagram to know you're sexy?
because I want to inflate my ego even higher and let everybody know that I'm almost pushing 40, but I'm still looking like a 25-year-old.
Okay.
There
okay.
you go.
Okay, so now that we've got a reason, what I would do is obviously
I love this.
Because
you went. What's the why behind the why?
absolutely.
There we go. Let's go.
We could always go worth to 7 because this is for the show. I don't want us to get too tears to be falling up, and so I'm not going to get too deep there. But what we'd do is we'd first find enough of a reason why, because when the going gets tough, those reasons are like pillars to keep the goal steady.
Damn, my goals are superficial. God damn. Continue.
So I would I would look to see, why is that important. I'd want to get to an emotion which is a bit deeper. Whether that's you want to look sexy, is it because you're trying to build a family? Is it something that, like, maybe your missus said something to you on the off cuff just as a joke, but you know many a truth is said in jest.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden you're like, boy, do you know what? I need to sort this out. I need to get to a place where it's more emotion. At the moment, how do you feel when you go to that beach? I need to hear, it's either you're going to be the carrot or the stick. So far, we're talking a lot more about the carrot, but I also want to see what part of that stick, which is the insecurities behind it. Because oftentimes we can just put them down and say, oh, you know what, they're just here, but we don't want to see them. But then when they're brought back to the surface, now you're more fired up. Now you know, okay, I've got 2 months. If I don't do this, I'm going to be feeling this X, Y, and Z whilst I'm on holiday. So this isn't an option. I'm going to have to stick to my training plan. I'm going to keep my eating clean and my nutrition. So
no more cheesecakes for me.
Or we
limit.
moderate it.
Yes.
We moderate it. So let's say if we would say 1 cheesecake a week, we could probably still manage, and it's about the size. Let me rephrase that. 1 cheesecake muffin, because a cheesecake is like this. So no, not a cheesecake, but a slither of a slice.
Bro, I could work it into my calories, you know. That 1 cheesecake here would be, I don't know, 5,000 calories. That's me for the next 2 days. I won't eat anything else. I'll fast for the remainder. Don't worry about it.
And then as you say that, then I'll come back to the 4% goal you said and your reasons why. And then I'll just say, hey, it can't run. We need to have it. So again, we put together the training plan.
Yeah.
Losing body fat is more on the diet side. And I completely agree that you can't out-train a bad diet.
Yeah.
What I do find, though, you can train yourself into a better mindset.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, if you're not moving your body and you're just eating well, your energy level is still going to be low. It's a lot simpler and you'll get a lot quicker results by working out, because after your workout, you feel good. You're like, wow. Now this encourages you to be like, okay, I'm on track now. I need to eat good foods. We'll put together a meal guide for you. So what I would tend to do is we'd work out your current body fat percentage, weight. We'd then be able to break down and see, okay, this is your calorie intakes that you're allowed first. What we've got is something called, what we use is Eric Helms' pyramid of nutrition. And what that does is, the first level is we look at your calories in versus calories out. Yes. Very simple, but it's a good way to start to measure what we're eating. Because if we can measure it, we can manage it. We want to get ourselves, I need to start leaving some breaks to let this settle down. I talk fast because I've got a lot of content. So if we can measure it, we can manage it. At this point, once we're in a calorie deficit, now we look at, okay, what are those calories made of? So this is where we get more into the macronutrients. Yeah. What's your protein intake? What's your carbohydrate? What's your good fats? That's the essentially breakdown of the next level. Once we've done that, we then now start to look more around your micronutrients. So are you getting the right vitamins, minerals to ensure like overall making sure you've got a good immune system. Next stage we'll be looking at is your nutrient timing. And the reason why I bring this in is because you'll find so many people come to me, they're like, hey, I want to lose weight, I'm trying to get in shape, I want to drop some pounds. What supplements should you recommend? In my mind, I'm like, you want a supplement, but we don't even know what the foundation is. How many calories are you consuming? I don't know. What are those calorie breakdown? I don't know, but just tell me the supplement. No, we got to start back to the foundation. So once we've got those things in place, then nutrient timing we can then use to optimize. Most people will not need more than the first 2 to 3 layers, i.e. how much you're eating, what is it that you're eating, and can we ensure that you're getting the right nutrients in your body? If you cover those 3, the timing, when you eat those, and the final bit around the supplements, i.e. what are you missing, and that's when the supplementation comes in. That will be the key. Based on your goal of dropping 4% body fat, that's where more of the focus will be towards just ensuring that you're in a calorie deficit for now, whilst we're keeping your training up. So what that means is we'll be doing like cardio, so doing running, skipping, we'll be doing lots of like bag work, pad work. Obviously, you will be coming into the studio, so we're doing training together. I also have my online offer, so there are people.
Ooh,
so
talk to us about the online offer.
So we got the Key Results Club. So that's where people will be able to just join online. They'll be able to. So this again, it's only $12 a month, and with that, they covers obviously the 12 key principles of success, which I talk about in my book, as well as another 11 benefits. So the message is it's 12 key principles, 12 benefits for $12 a month. That will give them access and show them what they need to do and what they can follow to get themselves in shape. If they want more personalized support, that's when we do have the Champions Transformation program. And that's where would give them more of a tailored program specifically to say, okay, based on our conversation, this is what you should be eating. Based on your fitness goals and any potential injuries you may have in the past, this is the form of training that we'll have for you. And then it's got a training app. I can then get it updated, and then you get we get accountability, daily accountability. So I'm checking in with you every day. Have you done what needs to be done? And then we've got like a weekly group call, so it kind of keeps that community vibe as well. So that would cover the fat drop, the dropping in your body fat percentage. Once we now look on the business side, so on the business side,
because I was thinking, like how is me improving my health going to increase my wealth?
Yeah.
I don't know. You tell me.
So I'll tell you. The reason being is I would say it can, because if let's say, consider yourself, if you were to say you are a well-oiled machine, let's say, what's your favorite vehicle?
Favorite vehicle? Ooh. You put me on the spot right now. Let me just say my car. A Mercedes AMG.
Lovely. So we've got a Mercedes AMG. So let's say we've got an amazing Mercedes AMG, but we've been fueling it with the most basic fuel it can run with. Okay, the vehicle will still move, but it's probably going to move to its optimal. Now, all of a sudden, you've taken that same AMG vehicle and you're now fueling it with premium fuel. You're making sure it's serviced, it's getting its care. Is that vehicle going to be able to perform better than it was when you weren't keeping the car clean, when you were giving it its cheapest fuel, and it was the last time it was serviced was 7 years ago? Out of those 2 vehicles, which vehicle can perform better?
Premium all day long.
There we go. Yeah. So if there's the out of shape version of you versus your premium version, which one will do better?
Premium all day long.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that we're even finding that more and more amongst the billionaire circles too. Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg, probably a platform that some people may be watching these videos on. He still now found the time to invest into his training. Does his jiu-jitsu as well as doing MMA. So he understands the importance of taking care of your well-being. Somebody else, and his business is still growing. You've got another person in the likes of Dana White. Obviously, he's a lot more closer related to the combat space, but he was out of shape for many years whilst he was building his business. Now he's in better shape. the business deals are still rolling in, because it's just another element of how you're representing yourself to the world.
Yes.
If you're able to represent yourself, some people have told me before that some of my clients personally, their businesses are growing. Is it hard work to grow their business whilst getting themselves in better shape? Absolutely. But now they're better role models for their families. And that's the thing. Because I work with leaders, it's one thing saying these things, but your children are going to follow what they see, not necessarily what you say. So when now you're telling them it's important to take care of yourself, but they see you're ordering takeaway all the time, you're completely out of shape, can't run 5K without taking a break, then it's like, okay.
You can't even run up the stairs without getting out of breath.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it's a bus, you're like, boy, let's just leave that one because I'm not catching that. Versus with like my clients, when they then start to get themselves in shape, they'll find themselves that the children want to exercise more. So now they're leading by example, but also in terms of their business, they're more mentally sharp now. Yes. They've got more energy, so they can go longer and they're able to think more methodically. And because boxing isn't just physical, it's not just about getting yourself running, but you're mentally getting yourself into the right place to be able to attack any battles you'll be facing on the business front line.
All right. Do you know what? Let me just quickly check the comment section. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. Family Tree, let me know in the comment section if you're enjoying it so far. Obviously, I'm giving you a sneak preview into our world, or my world right now. Drop me some comments and let me know. I need some feedback from you guys. And then we'll be back to our regular schedule program. That's going on for a minute now. Let's do this. All right, we're back. Cool. All right, perfect. Can you give me an example? Let me do it again. Can you give me an example of no, I need to be looking at you. Sorry, I'm looking at the camera. It's not the camera, it's you. Can you give me an example of a client that you worked with that you completely transformed their health and their wealth?
Great. So I'll speak on the ones the wealth side, they're already wealthy.
Yeah.
I've maybe optimized and helped them continue to grow on their wealth. But I wouldn't say I've necessarily those whose wealth I've transformed, they weren't necessarily as didn't necessarily need their health as much. So those who maybe I've helped them more on their wealth side, has essentially, they started in a good place and it's just grown from there. So I'm not going to pretend as if it's a rags to riches story. It's more of somebody who's like, they're doing pretty well, and then during the correlation doesn't mean causation, so I don't try and take the full credit. There's elements of their business which they still have their teams, but the philosophies and the mindset we build in our training encourages them to invest more into their personal development, to set goals and to continue to move in that direction. So I'll give you an example. One of my clients, I'll speak on one I transformed his health, really, because that was quite a big transformation. And then the other person whose wealth I optimized. I'll talk about his, because I also helped him with his health, but I'll leave his name out just because he's a bit more low-key, likes to keep himself under radar. First guy, Rolo. So this was about 8 years ago, one of my favorite transformation stories. So he was 37 at the time. And then again, there's a testimony on YouTube you'll see. He says, he's like, literally, you absolutely changed my life. So what had happened was he met me, him and his wife at the time, they'd recently gone through, some difficult circumstances amongst their family. So they needed a reset. Both he worked as an engineer, it's kind of like a design engineer. So he would build like glasses and big, really unique stuff, things you'll see in Tate Modern or like really nice places like that. But he wanted to get himself back in shape. He was feeling a bit achy because it was quite a physical role he was doing, and he wanted to get that extra boost. Fast forward now, we worked together over a year period, training anywhere between once to twice a week, primarily boxing training, and I'd give him a program for what to do outside of that. Over the course of our first 6 months, he was able to lose just over 2 stones. So again, so that's about, in terms of kg, about 13 kg, 14 kg, so about 30 pounds. So he lost about 30 pounds. With that, he was no longer feeling sore at work. His body felt a lot stronger. He said he felt 10 years younger. Not only that, but his business was still doing well. He had just as much business or more business than what he did prior. But the biggest win in this case wasn't that, but was the fact that 18 months after working with him, he was able to have his first child. And so that for me is a bigger blessing. And to hear somebody whereby things aren't going so well, again, I'm not saying that I'm the one who made him do that or anything like that, but when you start to feel better in yourself, when you start to have the extra, mojo jojo, as they used to say in the Powerpuff and stuff. So when you got that extra mojo and you're feeling healthier, you're able to operate at a better frequency. And then him not only just feeling more confident in himself, but him to be able to build his family, that for me was, a great transformation. And he was absolutely astounded by the results he got. That would be one story. Another person, again, I'm just gonna call him Mr. P. He knows who he is, but as in we'll just call him Mr. P. Somebody who's, again, run a very successful business already, multi-million-pound company. Came to me, wanted to get himself in shape. Was very much under a lot of pressure. Obviously, had wife and kids at home. Was very much worked in an industry where there's a lot of hospitality, and that hospitality often requires a lot of drinking, a lot of eating as well. But so his health was taking more of a decline. But as now you get into your 40s, you start to realize, I'm not going to have this forever. And if it's like this now, how's it going to look in 10 to 20 years? We need to do something about it. So again, started training with me 3 times a week, as well as like working on his mindset and sort of developing them. Fast forward 6 months, he's back in T-shirts that he hasn't been able to wear since he was 18, told me. Literally. This is a man who's now in his 40s. In a clothes that he hasn't been able to wear since he was 18. In terms of business, he's having his best year to date. Again, I'm not going to give any numbers specifically, but again, we're already talking 7 figures, and then it was moving towards more than 7 figures. So just to put it that way. And again, correlation doesn't mean causation. So I'm not going to pretend and say, oh yeah, because I said X, Y, and Z is why all of a sudden his business grew. But what I can say is when we're training, I directly correlate the work you're putting in now and saying you're getting tired, right? Absolutely. In business, your competitors getting tired. Are you going to give up now, or are you going to keep on pushing? And then over the time since we've worked, the contracts continue to come in because one, he's able to present himself probably, there's a saying in business whereby the person who's got the highest energy wins. If you're out of shape and feeling tired because of work, business stresses, family stresses, and you've got no outlet to release that apart from essentially comatosing yourself with alcohol and drugs, you're probably not going to perform as well as someone who's going to have an outlet who can release it through physical exertion and fight. So therefore now when you're in that business deal, things are there, you've got that calmness. It's not that point of like, oh, I'm thinking on the cuff. You have that calmness in mind and be like, okay, what do we need to do there? When you get tired, you're like, we've been here many a time. This is just principle 8 we need now, resilience. Let's kick this in. So those are 2 stories that I would say where, again, I would say I changed their physical side, but I think I really had a massive impact on, first one, his business slightly, but more on his life transformation. The second one was the physical and the business side, which in turn meant a life transformation too.
That sounds amazing. Right now I'm just feeling inspired and motivated for real. Like, it's like having DJ Khaled in front of me. You got the keys right now. So I don't know. Is there any other keys that you would like to drop?
Okay, if we're talking keys,
Yeah.
my book's full of keys.
Jeez.
So okay, we'll go through. I'll start off with some boxing keys, and then we'll move on to the 12 main keys, because I've got the 12 key principles of success, and that's applicable to everyone. First, for those who are perhaps in the boxing.
Wait. I need you to rewind that. So the 12 key principles, is that the same as the online coaching program?
So in the online coaching program, the 12 key principles are there. Everything I give, I try to follow Alex Hormozy method.
Yeah.
So with that, there's the DIY option. So I want it accessible to all, where it's at a nominal cost. Yeah. Then we do it the done with you, where you pay a bit more. And then it's the done for you. Again, no one could put the real work in for you, because you've got to do it yourself. So, but as in done for you, as much can be taken off your plate as possible. Yeah. Obviously, then we get to the more premium side. So no matter where you are, whether you're at the starting point or whether you're at my more premium offer, the 12 principles apply across the board.
So can you tell me again where I can go online to find that coaching program?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go onto my Instagram, it's the Boxing Life Coach. So that's THE, Boxing, BOXING, Life, LIFE, and Coach, COACH. You'll be able to find it there. If you go into the link in my bio, there you'll have a link to be able to buy my book directly, signed copy. Because any copy I send out, we make sure it's a signed copy.
I was about to show my copy. You know? I was about to brag and boast and let them know. Go ahead, I'm going to show you later on, actually.
So essentially you can get it online. And for my thing is, it's £20. And then with that, when you buy a copy, you're also going to get a month's free membership to the Key Results Club. So that way you'll have that to kind of assist you, so you can watch the boxing videos and the training videos alongside. From there, it's just $12 a month rolling over. But I also do like to make it accessible. So if there are people who are financially struggling, where that's a battle they're currently facing, send me a DM, and then I'll send you an ebook, where I'll send you a link where you can get an ebook. You just tell me, I need the 12 boxing principles, but do you know what I mean? There's a bit too much a month for the rest of the money. So, do you know what I mean? Can you help me out? I'll be like, don't worry. I'll get that e-copy sent over to you. Yeah. And then that's free of charge, because I believe, it will come back. I'm a believer, so I know that I'll be blessed in other ways.
100%. I love that. So come on, let's get into the 12 keys, man.
Okay.
The keys.
There we go. So first we'll start with the 7 keys of boxing training. Then we'll move on to the 12 boxing principles, the 7 key principles of success. Yeah. So the 7 keys of boxing training. First, it starts with the cardio. Because in the ring, you're going to need an engine. Yeah. There's a saying that Mike Tyson say, fatigue makes a coward of men and women now. But with that, it's to say that you can have all the braggadocious, that confidence, but when there's nothing left in that fuel tank and you're on empty, you can't really do much. Now you're starting getting hit. You're like, well, what's going on? So we start to build on the foundation of your cardio and your engine. The same way in business, you need to have that engine. Are you going to be able to see yourself through the seasons? We all know there's going to be summers, winters, this, that. But if you haven't got that cardio, you're going to probably stop there and just go reset. Let's go out to get a job. Let's try and find the easier route. So we need to start first with the cardio. That's the first key. Second key we look at is defense, because the box is the art of hitting and not getting hit. So even though it says hitting first and not getting hit, the reason why I put defense first, because not getting hit is the harder part. Is if someone's standing in front of you, it's easy to hit them. But not getting hit against someone who knows how to hit people is hard. So that's where we start with the defense. With that defense, we look into things like footwork, your head movement, as well as your guard. So that's your last line of defense. So don't rely on your guard just to be taking the shots. Your feet is the first place to get you out of trouble. Then use your head. Then your arms are like that last line of defense. The same way in business, you have to be able to defend your ideas, be able to defend your team, to make sure that to preserve their energy so it's being used in the right spaces at the right time. Once we do that, we go into the punches. Again, this is boxing. So again, simple. We've got the jab, the cross, the hook, and the uppercuts. Now, with those are the tools we have in the boxing ring. In business, punches, it's more about your strategies, what you're using to attack. So, for instance, this may be an effort of let's say, business meetings. similar to like a shot. It could be, another deal closed, another product sold, launch. So essentially, these are the different punches to keep your business alive. You need to be throwing things out that's going to bring revenue back. To win a boxing match, you need to be able to throw punches to score points. The same way in business, it's more scored by your impact and your revenue. So what are those tools we use there? That's the third key. Then we move on to our bag work. So this is just where you have to put the work in. There's the only place where where success comes before work is in the dictionary. Everywhere else, you got to put the work in first. So here, the bag work is a place where you can start to hone and train the different elements of what you've learned, your different punches, your different combinations. The same way now in business, you've now got your strategies. Okay, let's put them to the test. Not all of them is going to work. Some of them, you don't have to make everything outside. A lot of it's practice. So rather than having let's put it this way, if you've got two business people and one is prepping for their meetings, is doing, let's say you're in sales. Like I spent many years working in sales. Let's say the person who's practicing their pitch, practicing their close, testing it out, objection handling here. That's your bag work. Rather than the person who thinks they can just go straight into the ring, go direct to the client, not practice it. Then they're like, oh, I'm fumbling. Same way in the ring. If you haven't put your work in on the bag and really been able to train that, it makes it hard. Then that ties into the next step, which is partner drills. So in boxing, again, that could be pad work with a coach. You also have partner drills like sparring, the closest thing to what boxing is, like competitive boxing. And so these, or even just training alongside with somebody, because iron sharpens iron. You might be feeling tired, but you're like, well, no, I can't stop now. They're next to me. So it's that partner drills, the same way in business, that accountability. It could be a mentor who's giving you that support. Many people in business, we know that it's a team sport. Yeah. If you're a business person who's coming as you as a solopreneur against somebody who's got a full council, I know who I'm going to bet on. Yeah. So, you want to have who are your partners in place for this. Yeah. Then we go into our conditioning. So again, there's nothing sexy about this. It's just where you have to just condition the body, condition the mind in terms of this comes through circuits, training, different types of work. And then we finish that with core work. And core work, again, that's you've seen so many times a fighter gets dropped with a body shot. The same way a lot of businesses you'll find have done really well for many years, but they'll move away from their core values, and therefore it kind of like erodes and gets weaker. Reason why I'm a fan of strong brands like Rolex, for instance, is because they have a core message, which was quality. But at the same time, they're the people who introduced the wristwatch. Prior to that it was more the pocket watch. So they were pioneers in their space. They really wanted to move how watches work. And essentially what many people don't know is that it's actually a charity as well. So Rolex itself, again, they had a very good person who was able to set it up so it helps them with their tax. Again, I'm not a tax accountant, so I'm not going to talk on that.
But Swiss man there.
They're very smart about how they move there. But as in, like, they were the first around their branding with the Oyster Perpetual. So when they had somebody to go for a swim, the person didn't even complete the race. They finished quite short, but the watch survived. Yeah. And that was a great branding perspective. But it's to bring it back to the core. Like, what is the core part of in terms of, for boxing training, what's your core? But in business, where's your core? Another brand I like to talk about is Rolls Royce. One which was, again, started with partners, two people who came together. But now, if we look at that company, they are not owned. I think, is it I want to say BMW own them. Again, don't quote me on that. You can check online. If I'm wrong, put it in the comments. I'd like to hear, because I can be corrected. But essentially, they're owned by a brand a lot larger than them now. Yeah. Or Volkswagen. It's either BMW or Volkswagen. But essentially, what they did is, because their core is so strong, nobody wants to change the name of what they're doing. They didn't, when they put themselves forward, they didn't say with a car. They labeled themselves as the best car on the world. And then they marketed that. So they had their core value. Now we're fast forwarding almost 100 plus years, and they're still known as one of the best car in the world. So, and hence why people will still spend, a vehicle's a vehicle, But the reason why someone's going to spend 10 times as much to own it because of their core values and people like, I rock with this core value, so I'm going to lean in, or it's not for me. And that's what you want in boxing. You want to have a core where it's like, look, this is firm. You hit it, nothing's going to happen. Yeah. The same way in your business, you want a core. If you agree with it, great, let's work together. If you don't, I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing. Keep it stepping. And so those are the 7 keys that we take from boxing training, but can be applied to business and across the board to life as well.
As I said, again, inspirational, motivational, and empowering.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know what, yeah? Go on.
No, because I was saying that was just the first 7 keys. We haven't got to the 12 key principles of success.
You need to hold that.
Okay,
you need to hold that. Because if you want that, you need to go to what? The Boxing Life Coach
yep.
on Instagram.
Yep.
Again, plug it once more.
So it's the Boxing Life Coach on Instagram. And then you click the link. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to send you directly to my website. Let me send you directly to my website because direct to order. www.kieranekeledo.com. So that's KIERANEKELEDO.com. You click that link. On your page, you scroll down my book, you'll be able to buy it straight there.
Powerful.
Simple.
You know what, yeah? You've got into like authoring a book. Books. Hold on. I'm getting up out of this podcast right now. Give me a second, my brother. Yeah? Let's do this. See, what most people don't know, I've got Kieran's book, yeah? Right there. I'm going to show it on your camera. I'm going to show it. Let's see, where is it? Yeah? On your camera, I'm showing it. 12 boxing principles to success, or 12 boxing principles of success, sorry. Train like a fighter, think like a champion, right? This book here has been on my shelf for the last, is it 2 months? When was it that you gave it to me?
Yeah, I think, probably about 2 months. Yeah, like beginning of July. Yeah, beginning of July. Yeah.
Yeah. Clients come in, they all love. They literally, the first thing they do, they go to the shelving unit. They're like, oh, you got loads of business books, and they all go and they all look at every single book that's there, take pictures, and they're there looking at this book. I'm telling them about you. They're taking pictures, and I'm sure they're making orders as well. So
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Trust me, family. Go online, check out the website. So you know what? Let me move gears though, because I want to talk about more negative things now.
Okay.
Negative things. I want to talk about myths within inside of your industry. What are 5 major myths that is commonplace within inside of your industry?
Okay, I like that. Also, this is good practice. Got me on my toes here. Oh yeah, we're gonna have the questions prepped. And it's like boom, boom, boom. Great, I love that. That's ready for life. So some of the common myths in my industry. So I would say the first one I would look at, I'm gonna say, is that you need a big audience to make money. The thing is, to make money, you just need a client. That client could pay you £1. That client could pay you £10,000. All you need is a client to begin. So I believe that the myth is that you need to essentially have like millions of followers, or for people to be able to make money or make a living, or you need. So I'd say I was going to start listing the myths next to each other. So I'll segment them. So the first one is that you need lots of followers. The second myth that I feel is in my industry is that a lot of people think that you need to be in amazing shape. And don't get me wrong, it helps being in shape because obviously you want to be a reflection of what your brand is. But the truth is, in my opinion, you need to be great at communicating, because you can be in great shape. Doesn't mean you're great at helping somebody else get in shape.
Yeah.
You can be a great in your life. Doesn't mean you can give somebody the tools to help them meet them where they're at, for them to get their life to where they want it to be. So I find many coaches can be quite self-centered in terms of, look at me, look what I could do, this, that, the other, versus focusing on how can I develop my ability to communicate in a way which moves my client to make the steps that they want to make in their life. So I would say I would say that's the second key. A third, many myths, is that to reach some of the big names in the industry, you need to be famous yourself. So let's say, when it comes to these myths, I'm kind of breaking them a bit between the boxing, box life coaching space and the authorship space. So I'm kind of taking some myths from each of them to kind of spread it out. So the reason I say many people think that they need to essentially, to be able to reach the top of the industry, that they need to be able to have all the contacts already. Fortunately, last year I had the opportunity to work with Floyd Mayweather and his team when they were in London. Prior to last year, I'd only met him once before, and that was just at the start of the pandemic, the week of, in March 2020. From there, I got an interview with his trainer, GT Gerald Tucker. Shout out GT, good friend, a mentor to me. And I didn't know him before writing the book. I just interviewed him, reached out to him. Another myth people feel they need is they feel they need to have all the experience. So, for instance, to be a boxing coach, and I'll be real, I had this, how can I call imposter syndrome when I initially started in the boxing space, or when I started coaching those more advanced than me. So I've got some people who I work with in different remits, but who are, former Olympic champions, who have worked and have fought on a global scale, represented their countries, been professional boxers. And prior to, let's say, publishing my book and developing myself, I felt like, ooh, would they listen to me? They're more experienced than I am. How am I going to be teaching them this? But then I had to take a second to think and be like, well, hold on. Angelo Dundee had minimal. So to those who don't know who Angelo Dundee is, that is Muhammad Ali's trainer. He didn't have much boxing experience prior to him becoming Muhammad Ali's trainer. Muhammad Ali is the greatest. Guess who else he trained afterwards? Sugar Ray Leonard. So if somebody who's trained two of the most iconic names in boxing didn't have much of a boxing background himself, I need to check myself and realize that this is a limitation I'm setting on myself. Many times I could go into a space, and it's not to say fake your experience, but it's saying gain your experience on the job. Another example or story which another good trainer, which would be good, would make for a good clip, I see, is a guy called Tim Grover. Have you heard of him before? So Tim Grover, again, another author or super author, as I like to call us, and he wrote a book called Relentless. He was a trainer, but not just a trainer to anybody. He was a trainer to one of the greatest. If I said one of the greatest athletes of all time in basketball, which name would come to mind?
MJ.
MJ, there we go. Mm-hmm. It was MJ's trainer. So think of it this way. MJ, one of the most iconic players, when he started off, that was one of his first clients. He sent a letter to everybody on the, I think, Chicago Bulls team at the time, apart from MJ, because he thought MJ would never want to work with me. MJ was the person who decided he wanted to work with him. Even though he had no experience working with basketball players, he had no credibility. But what he did have is he had hustle and he had belief. Again, faith, principle 1 of the book. Go check it out. So from there, that is another part where I say sometimes just if you believe in yourself and you're willing to put the work in, opportunities will come. After then, he then went to work with Kobe Bryant, another iconic name in the space. He worked with Dwayne Wade, and the stories continue. So it's just to share that sometimes we would feel, who am I to work with there? Versus just say, I am. Not who am I am. And if they say no, they say no. Because you've already said no in your head, so you might as well let them say no. So I'd say that's a common myth. And then the fifth myth, I would say, is that the fifth myth that is common in the industry would be that you need to be outgoing. And the reason I say that is because, or you need to be good in front of camera and all of this stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'm comfortable in front of a camera. You put the camera on, let's roll, let's do this. You put me in front of us on a stage, come on, let's speak. I'm gonna make it work. But that doesn't have to be you. Most of the people in this world are more introverts than extroverts. And like around, when it comes to influence, one of the key things around influence is that we like to do business with those we know, like, and trust.
That's right.
A lot of people, my energy is too high for them. I'm too intense. Why is all this? Oh, yo, bro, this. Hey, somebody wants somebody who's one of my first mentors when I was working in a gym. His name's Kieran as well, funnily enough. And very relaxed, calmed guy, like as in, but his diary was full. Reason being is he was working with a lot of other calm, relaxed people. So for him, they were the perfect fit. For me, I'd probably find it a bit slow paced for me, or I would have to taper myself down to a bit where I wouldn't necessarily enjoy the energy as much.
Yeah.
But for his audience, it was perfect. So my thing is just be you and you'll attract your tribe rather than trying to be something you're not and attracting people who you don't really want to be around because you've almost made that issue for yourself. So those would be it. Again, like when we rerun the video, I'd be able to go through them 5 at a time, but I'm mentioning that be you, experience, ensure that you don't need a big following. Those would be the 3 that really stick out. Yeah.
Don't worry, we're gonna do a cut up and it'll be bam, 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 all
Boom.
5 in there.
Lovely.
So in saying that, I want to actually like start rounding up right now. And I think you've done like a perfect segue into mentioning your book. And I really want to know what got you to even believe, first and foremost, that you can actually author a book. Like what? Because more time, we would love to, let's say it's a dream. I would love to write a book. But the belief that I myself can write a book is 2 different things. So what helped you? What got you? What got you to that place where you had that faith that you could write this book and try to like impart like how, you know, help others to have that faith in themselves as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this day, I can even remember, it was July the 5th, 2014.
Yeah.
That's when the belief happened. That's when before that day, I didn't even thought about writing that book. That day is when I decided I will write a book. I will write and publish a book. And then on 19th of November 2015 is when my first book was published. Now, I'll take you through those steps. What happened on that July the 5th? So it was a day we was at the Excel Arena. So there was an event going on with Success Resources. So they like run personal development events. And essentially, they had Les Brown in town. So you know Les Brown, you gotta be hungry. And another person on there was Chris Gardner. So the movie, have you seen the movie Pursuit of Happiness? Yeah. So that's who the movie was based on, a guy called Chris Gardner. So those were 2 of the speakers I'd gone to watch that day. But after Les Brown, but before Chris Gardner was speaking, this big Canadian brother called Jerry Robert, Mr. Jerry Robert, he walked on stage, like larger than life, you know, and essentially he was telling me about, he's Canadian, he's talking about his story, how he wrote a book probably back in the 70s or 80s. So again, he's a I'm gonna say uncle, do you know what I mean, in a term, and then like, but what he said, he was like, look, I wrote a book, I was making 6 figures a year. Then he met Bob Proctor. When he met Bob Proctor, obviously your audience probably are familiar with Bob Proctor in terms of like, you know, really studying Think and Grow Rich and taking it to a new level. And then Bob Proctor talked to him, he said, that's garbage. He's like thinking, bro, you don't know, but I came from the projects. I came from like where I'm from, 6 figures is good. And he's like, bro, he's not saying that, why make 6 figures a year when you could be making 6 figures a month? And I'm hearing all this at this point was alien to me, hearing all this talk from authors. And then he went through and said how book publishing changed his life. Some weekends he's even made £1 million in a weekend. But his main thing is to help coaches, consultants to use books, saying that it's not about the book itself, but it's the money you can make around the book. Yes. So for me, them like, hey, again, the Igbo in me just kicked him like, money around the book. I just finished uni. Let's see where this can go. You know. So then, but some of the messages that he really imparted, which helped me with my belief there, was one of the first things he said. He said a lot of people think they need to become an authority before they write a book. He's like, no, they've got it wrong. Well, they don't know. They got to write a book to become an authority. And then when they said that, I was like, wait a second. The word author is in authority. So that for me was like, okay, that was my first tick. Like, okay, that needs to be done. Then the second's like, okay, but you don't want to write about something you don't know anything about. And then when you read it. So then his next thing was like, but if you want to become an expert in a field, interview the 10 experts and you become the 11th by association.
Cheers! Come on! I feel like I'm in church right now. Let's go!
When he said that, I heard that. I was like, wait a second. So if I write the book, I'm the authority, so people are going to see what I'm doing. But if I interview the actual people who are the leading in this space, I'm going to be rated through association. And now thinking back to Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill was never rich, from what I've read. What he did is Andrew Carnegie opened up his deck of books and to build, helped him to interview the Henry Fords of the people who were making money at that time. And it was just through association why he was able to, I'm like, well, one of my favorite books on this wealth creation space was written in a format what he's talking about. And he was taught by the person who's one of the biggest advocates for that book. So I'm like, I'm in the right space at the right time. And then the last one, he was like, look, if you're trying to build relationships with people in a space, you could go to them and say, hey, I'd like to take your time and like you to help me and show me the way. And they'll be like, cool, join the queue. Or you could go to them and say, hey, I think you're incredible at what you do. My publisher, I'm currently writing a book on a subject which means something to them. My publisher told me to speak to some of the leading people in this field, in the trenches, and you're one of them. When can I get 20 minutes of your time in the next week to have this conversation? So I'm thinking, wait a second, this sounds like a good door opener. How often do people get asked to be interviewed for a book? I'm thinking, rare to never. So that's a way to differentiate myself when I'm trying to build these relationships, rather than going in and saying, hey, help me out. Now I've got something to offer. And because I like to lead with value, now I'm like, okay, so now I can build these relationships by saying, can I interview? And that's how I started to interview retired footballers, Olympians, and boxers. And funnily enough, one of the people I interviewed was, his name's Gavin Heru. He has like one of the UK's leading training providers. He used to be a Crystal Palace player. It fell out of place, contract ended, became a personal trainer, started making 10K plus a month through that, and then set up his own agency to help trainers become trainers. And I'm like, this is a great avenue for athletes. So then my journey of just from deciding so at that event, I decided I'm going to write a book. I then had to go to the seminar, which it was a 3-day course. I didn't go to that day once, not twice, but 3 times. I went back. I kept on going back to make sure I've really got it in. So literally spent 9 days. But you only need the 3. But I think if the lesson's really worth learning, repeat it as many times as you can. And that's, again, something I learned through boxing, that repetition of you keep on working on the jab. There's the story, and again, this is probably another soundbite, is that the student practices until they get it right, but the master practices it until they can no longer get it wrong. So that's something which I also believe in the repetition. But from going to that event, seeing the different backgrounds and I'm like, hey, I can definitely put a book together. Started to writing that book, and then literally within a couple of months, got an opportunity within the industry to help trainers become trainers. That's how I got qualified as a PT, and it opened the doors to me working with a lot of other professional athletes, which was my goal and vision at the time. And yeah, so that's essentially how the belief happens. I would say, if you want to, a lot of people think they need to be an authority first, but they're thinking that not having written a book. But the people who I know who have written a book say, no, write the book, you'll become the authority. And I've personally experienced that myself. So I'm like, okay, tick. The second one is, well, if you don't have the experience, interview the 10 others, you'll be the 11th by association. tick. Third, if you're trying to build relationships with these people who are levels above you, what else can you bring? Because it's not money that is going to be adding value to them. So if you're trying to build a better relationship with them, probably interviewing them is a good way to open the door, because it differentiates you from all the other people who want their time all the time. You're now actually offering them something of value to immortalize their knowledge, because they're going to pass as well. This book's in the British Library, so it's going to be there.
Jeez. Do you know what? A little confession. I've actually written a book, but I need it published, number one.
Yep.
But no, let's rewind that. I need to rewrite that book because I've got more information for that book.
Okay, yeah.
So, if you're like me, they've got tons of knowledge. A lot of people are part of my audience. They're part of the conscious community. They read a lot of books. They write a lot of articles, whether it's on blogs or whatever the case is. How can we put our knowledge together to create books? Like, can you help? I don't know. Can you help us with that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hey. So hold on. Let me wait. I'm getting excited now, yeah? So already, we're going to get my body fat percentage down.
Yeah.
We're going to, help me with my philosophy on business and so forth to increase my wealth on the business side. Now you're telling me that I can, from my educational side, my penmanship, you can help me with. Talk to me. I'm interested now.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
So this is one of the things that I'm currently on the mission to do. So my journey now is, one of my mentors, his name's Master Wong. So he's, again, probably got about 3 million followers on YouTube, a growing account on Instagram. He's published 12 plus books. So me, when I went to meet him, I had 2 books. I was getting excited with my 2. When I saw he tells me he's got 12 and English isn't his first language, I'm like, boy, I've got to step my game up. So now I decided, now that I'm 33, I'm going to publish 33 books in this year just to show how it can be done. Yeah. Now, what I would say, for those who want to publish their book, it's a simple process. I'd say you want to plan your book, prepare it, and publish it. So those are the 3 sections. So initially, when it gets to, many a book starts off as blogs. So, a very popular book for those who are into like the personal development space, Atomic Habits, James Clear, started off as a blog. So it was just literally in blogging different ideas, and then it built up. When it was like, wow, you've got so many followers, that's when it then built up into a book. So a lot of most people who are watching this, if there's somebody who are autodidact, so again, that's people who like to self-study, and have been producing some form of content, it just needs repurposing. Yeah. Now, I would say if you've got a YouTube channel where you're talking and you've probably got 2 hours worth of spoken content, what you need a soft piece of software which you can then use, and that will then be able to convert that into text. You convert that into text. You could use probably a software like Grammarly to help with the punctuation and to get the flow better. Or you can send it off to somebody independently who can help you with that publishing there. But essentially the process, first you've got to plan your book. So who's your book for? So once you've understood who your book's for, like why that's and why you're writing for them, then we can then start to plan. If you've already got all the content inside, great. Write it, speak it, however you want to do it. But first we need to create some sort of format. So like, what are your chapters? What do you want to speak on? We've got different formulas. One of my other books coming out on the 29th of April, 2025 is called Super Author. And that's about how to essentially unlock your potential with book publishing in 72 hours. Yeah. Because I've now narrowed it down and broken it. So rather than having to take people a year like it took me, breaking it down 72 hours doesn't mean 3 days, it means 72 hours, because it means 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 to 72. That could be done over the course of a month, could be done in 3 months, could be done in a year. But getting your 72 hours depending on your schedule. Once you've now got your themes of topics, what you want to write about, again, book cover, you could probably build one up on Canva initially, or use somewhere like Fiverr to help you with your design there. If you want something a bit more quality, I'd probably look at Upwork. So they'll do some stuff there for you. So again, see, these are just like little gems and keys that people should be taking notes if they are into book publishing. Again, this is a content that can be charged for, but it's also free online. But the hard part is the implementation. You know what I mean? The game is free. The implementation, the hustle sold separate. So it's like, so then once you've got your plan, you know what your chapters you're talking about. Now it's like, hey, can I write this based on my own knowledge base? But I would definitely recommend to do research, not just to speak, because it adds credibility to be able to talk about sources. The reason why I'm so confident in my book is because people can question my knowledge, but I've interviewed some of the leading trainers in the world. So unless they're telling me that they're more successful in boxing than Floyd Mayweather, then chances are that doesn't apply. Yeah. So, but that's what that credibility helps with in terms of through interviews, doing that. Once you do that, you then prepare the book, and then finally you bring that into the publishing. So that's where you get your ISBN number. So therefore it can be put into the library. You've done your editing, you've formatted your book, you've got your cover design. Then you can use generally print on demand services. So you've got places like Ingram Spark. That's who I use. So they'll put it onto not just Amazon, because everyone these days is like, okay, but your book, but you're on Amazon. If you're not on Amazon, people don't think, you're not really enough. Yeah. So it's in like someone at Ingram Spark does the work for you. You can put it there, or you can go direct. You can use places like Create Space, upload it there. Or there's also, you can then find a literary agent. If you do want to go down the publishing route, I would say I don't personally recommend it unless they're giving you some serious of a deal, because it's almost like, why borrow when you can own? Is in like, when you essentially have that publisher, now essentially you're saying, yeah, do you know what? Take my ownership, take my masters. All I want is a sliver, when you're the one who put the work in. So unless they're coming to you saying, hey, do you know what? Because we can see what you're doing, we know it's already, we're going to give you a sweet deal. We know we're eating off of you, but we're going to take care of you because we're eating off of you. Rather than you go into a publisher, they throw you 10K up front, you're getting all excited, not knowing you're only making £1 to £2 on every copy from there on. Even if you want to gift the book, you're going to have to pay 85% of that price, because £1 to £2 is what you get to keep. So you need to really sell about 5 to 10,000 before you even recoup what you're given. Versus if you were to self-publish it, you would be keeping more towards 5 to 10 times that amount. Yeah. So my thing is, unless they're giving you a sweet deal, go self-publish, because you get the ownership, the rights, and also that can, when it is popular, those literary agents can come to you for version 2, 3, and 4, but now you know your worth. Yeah. So you're not gonna sell yourself short.
Sick. I have learned so much. I can't wait, because the next 2 months, I'm telling you, family, I'm gonna keep you guys updated on my own personal progress. And I want you to go and check out our brother's website and go check out the Instagram as well. Is there any last final closing words you want to give before we close out?
Okay. So, yeah, I'll share a few words. So this one is a little message. So my whole thing is, first I'd like to say thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been incredible, especially that, we met. And when I saw you, and I felt that, like, wow, this brought us onto something special. And the fact that now, a few months later, we're able to materialize, sit here and have a platform and a place where we can inspire, motivate, and empower people across the community, that is so grateful. I'm so grateful for that. I've got another book coming out called Stories of Success, Key Black Figures, and I want you to be featured in that. So I want to record it online to say that we want to have you in that book. This year's story is about reclaiming narratives for Black History Month, so that's what we're going to do. And final message is more around understand the power of partnerships, and to just tell people that you don't have to go it alone. I'm a man of God, so in my mind, I believe I've got Jesus Christ in my corner each day. Do you know what I mean? God.
JC.
Do you know what I'm saying? When you got JC backing you, do you know what I mean? It gives you that confidence. Yeah. But also having that team, those people you can rely on. Success isn't an individual job. So I want to finish with like a few lines for one of my poems called Unique Partnerships. So it's a freestyle. It's called Boss Up and Ball, but the first part, it goes, unique partnerships are a way to grow. Time after time, history has shown. Bring two brands together, they both take off and they're looking better. Check out Michael Jordan and Phil Knight at Nike, 1984, Business Unite. Kick, push and came together. The aim of the game, make change together. The 3-year plan was to make 3 million from Jordan's brand and Nike's ticks. In the next 1 year, the team hit 126.
Jeez.
So
Powerful.
that's it.
Powerful right there.
That's
Brother, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in the studio. You're literally, in my mind, I said, you are going to be my first proper guest onto the channel. And you did not fail one bit. For those of you guys who are new to the channel, normally we do conscious, information, but I've already said that, like, if I come back, I need to do things that resonates with my soul to keep me motivated to stay on this trajectory. And it has to deal with, I have 6 principles in life that I deal with, or 6 values, right? We have my health, fit straight into that. Education, entrepreneurship, family, which is more like to do with relationships in terms of people, community, fun, and generosity. Giving back to my community. So those are my 6 values. And I try to live up to that every single day, because I know if I do that on a daily basis, I'm having a great day. If I could do it on a weekly basis, I'm having a great week. Monthly, yearly, for my whole life, it's going to be a great life.
Amen.
And I'm so grateful to actually have you on, because you literally aligned and resonated with my values, and I needed you to come on. I needed you to be the first. So thank you. And I can't wait to be the first person on your book.
Absolutely. 100%, brother.
So love, my brother. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace and love. Man, we out, baby. We out. All right, family tree. Let me know if you enjoyed. For those of you guys who stuck around, you're going to see the proper edited version anyway. So yeah, I'll see you guys later though. I'm going to close out. I know we are supposed to have a show later on at 9 p.m. and that was to do with the murder of the mom at Carnival. We're just going to talk about the solutions, but I don't think I have it in me to keep on going. All right, so I will reschedule it for tomorrow, hopefully. And yeah, we can keep it flowing, baby. We can keep it flowing. Well, family, I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, peace. Let me see. I'm trying. I haven't even.